Chapter 89, Different Plans. Translator's Corner. Cast, Smoggy, Yuka and a Lalai-loving bear. During a perfectly normal morning, a letter had arrived at the Yuka residence. Smoggy, what's this? Yuka-san, you have mail. Wait, that for me! Oh great, why is he the sender? Opening the mail, Smoggy reads the email. Dear Cousin Smogs. How's it been? I heard you escaped the zoo a while back, it was all over the news. Entire zoo encased in ice, star bear Smoggy missing. Got bored of all the fame perhaps? Not for me though, I enjoy my lifestyle of fame and fortune. I've been researching human animation culture as usual, it was then I found your name. You've been busy, eh? Translating human web novels in a circus crew. You've even chosen a story with a Lalai as a main star. Even though it's a slime, as long as it looks like a little girl, it's all good. An excellent choice. Are you finally seeing things from my point of view? Anyway, the main thing is I'm hosting a family reunion soon, so if you feel like coming over, that would be great. We can talk about human cultures and little girls, it will be fun cousin. From your cousin. Pato. P. Bear. P.S. If you got any Lalai colleagues, bring them over too. I'd love to get to know new friends. Smoggy covers the letter with honey, and puts it in his mouth as Yuka comes out. Yuka, Smoggy, was there something for me? Smoggy, go aid booer, no idea. Dot. 089. Different plans. Hinata is taking a break at a certain location, one day's trip away from the monster country Tempest. And then, the last meeting had commenced. Judging from the situation, the opponents probably aren't battle ready and they are waiting for a reply. However, this is a group of monsters, she cannot afford to be careless. More than anything, even in a battle that will result in a complete victory, to reduce sacrifices even by a little is Hinata's fighting style. Resorting to anything, even cowardly tricks, this is the natural thought patterns of monsters when fighting. According to the church's doctrine, monsters must be killed without sympathy for them. Everyone was affirmed about that. Naturally, the knights weren't happy about this. Winning is a certainty, however they also understand that should they lose, this will become a threat to human society. It's precisely because they can't lose, they believe that this must be achieved through any means necessary. In this battle, the enemy's kingdom is too large to cover it in a barrier. Thus, through the use of decoys, they wanted to lure the enemy's main attackers out to the battlefield. However, if it arouses suspicion, this plan will be jeopardized. Originally, Hinata proposed a plan to send forth a messenger, but this was opposed by the Holy Knights and dismissed. Fiercely, even though there is only 100 of them, each Holy Knight can match 1,000 men. Amongst them, 15 individuals consisting of the captains and their 2 vice-captains of the 5 squadrons all desire the title of the strongest Holy Knight. Their influence has made a clear distinction between them and the others. This time, the plan is for 5 captains, their 2 vice-captains, as well as 5 escorts to form a cubic barrier. Measures are taken for the worst-case scenario, 3 captains will form a triangular barrier, and the effects will still show. For that purpose, instead of a cube, a pentagonal barrier will be activated instead. Even if the enemy has taken measures and managed to interfere with the erection of the barrier, the location where the barrier will be erected can simply be changed. The main fighting force will now have 40 less combatants, but in order to neutralize the battalion lured into the barrier, this is the best method. The plan is simple, the remaining 60 will be used as decoys to lure the enemy into the strategic location. The fighting spirits of the Holy Knights are sufficient. After all, the enemy this time are merely evolved orcs and goblins. For some, they are foes already encountered numerous times in the past, and have already lost the ability to feel fear. Amongst them, there are also evolved lizard men and evolved ogres. Anyone aside from the main forces will probably not be able to match their strength. What they should be wary of is the existence of the archdemon. While Hinata whom they worship slays the enemy demon lord, they must hold back the other monsters to make sure they don't interfere. Their biggest obstacle here is believed to be the archdemon. However, they encourage themselves there's nothing to be afraid of. After all, they're wearing spirit armor. The spirit they contracted with made the materialized armor easily adjustable, called Holy Mail. Hinata is also wearing it, albeit inferior to true Holy Mail, it is still better than average equipment. Hardly being able to feel its weight, it's a superior kind of armor that feels as light as feathers. The weapons they wielded are also articles used to vanquish evil, a weapon that can nullify resistances and deal true damage. Yoka, pure damage for you Dota players. It is rare to require this much power in a single battle. The equipment used were so powerful to the extent when subduing an archdragon, 10 people with such equipment is sufficient. It could be compared to a country's army of 10,000 elite soldiers, but compared to the monsters they can't hope to make a comparison. The holy knights were scattered in various places, but all the knights that could be contacted with were gathered. For the holy knights, this was one subjugation war they could not possibly lose. Hinata looked at the knights while in thought. Must we really fight this battle? Usually, she harbors no doubt about decisions made till now. Although she had already decided this in the holy capital, a sliver of doubt had sprung forth. It was her first time experiencing this. Firstly and foremost, the predicted outcome of the battle. The predicted result seemed too good, too convenient. The forces on this side are few in number, in an open spacious field this would prove to be inconvenient. On the contrary, the enemy can easily make use of the vast terrain, making escape difficult. The terrain is simply too convenient. However, to predict all this would simply be impossible. It feels as if she was dancing on the palm of someone's hand, but she dismissed it as she's probably thinking too much. To begin with, the opponent had thought that Hinata was staying in the Holy Kingdom Ruberius. Yet they had taken no measures against this. The existence of teleport gates are a secret. They even conducted the practices at the wilderness around the outskirts of the Ruberius kingdom just in case. TN note, Hinata, hate to break it to you but I'm pretty sure the demon lords and the dwarves had already been using teleport gates for quite some time now. There's no questioning this, her whereabouts had been found out. She had confidence in her actions as she did them carefully and cautiously. But, even so, if she trusted her intuition, this is a dangerous place to be at. Even though this is an irrational way to think, it can't be dismissed. Thus, Hinata stopped thinking and opened her mouth. Attention! Hearing this, the holy knights stopped talking and focused on Hinata. Hinata looked at each and every one of their faces and said, I'm going to give you your commands now. Decoy team. It's likely the predicted battlefield location is a trap. By chance, any disturbance to the activation of the barrier is a disadvantage. However, we will deliberately go along with the flow of the opponent's strategy. We will deploy the barrier in order not to arouse suspicion in the enemy. However, there will be no captains, and the vice-captains will take their place. The captain and the escorts will defend the vice-captains with their life on the line. However, there's no need to think of anything else other than the maintenance of the barrier. Acts of hostility in order to protect the barrier will be permitted. It will be great if we could fight as planned. But if we are to be scattered due to a preemptive strike, fight back at full force. I will say this again, don't stubbornly try to put up the barrier, everyone's survival is top priority. Depending on the assailants, permission to stop maintaining the barrier and join the fight is granted. For the barrier group, take into consideration that the enemies will be scattered. Central decoy troops, you guys, rely on the assistance of the barrier. And don't overconfident try to take on a surprise attack head-on out of pride. Lure the opponent towards the playing field, where we will claim victory. Take into consideration that your own powers may end up annihilating your comrades. In addition, while you guys act as the decoy I will go slay the enemy general. Do not ever be careless. Take into consideration that there will be no reinforcements, then act. Yuka. That's one long speech. She trusted her instincts, and gave out the orders. Either way, this is their only fighting force. Any other battle forces apart from this one will only end up as a hindrance. The troops conducted another meeting to review the elaborate maneuvers after certifying the role of each holy knight. Any signs of cockiness had instantly disappeared from their eyes. It has been 2 weeks since the scheduled meeting with Hinata. If it's Hinata, we thought a surprise attack might be a good idea. She even dutifully let out a fireball explosion in the sky to let us know. She's either extremely confident, or an complete idiot. Well, whatever. Here we will proceed as planned. I thought of this, and even though I still had time before the battle, I can't understand what's what. My head somehow feels. What is going on? Why is this happening? I am at a loss for words at the spectacle before me. This is what happened. TN note, don't ask us what this chaos is all about. Not even we're 100% certain as well. As expected, 60 holy knights came to attack. This is good. This is because it's all going according to plan. However, if they came to attack us, it means they had a specific battlefield. Moreover, to dig this tunnel into the open field took much effort and hardship, but there was a slight complication. I virtually declared that I will set a trap here, and yet they went and triggered it. The opponent might also have a trap here, and if we take the bait things would get painful. Mentally, I'm sorry Veldora. It's your turn, or it might not be. I apologized, and moved to another location. TN note, please check who or what is Suman. Yuka, many others, and I laughed so hard at this. Silly bear. TN note: I see why Clown-san gave me a Japanese lesson now. Wait, whom are you referring to when you said many others? The place where Hinata and I will face each other. This is why, a battle has commenced on the side. The first notable thing was the situation where the Yamaguri clashed with the Holy Knights. Backhana. Our attacks aren't effective against them. Backhana impossible, but in a very intense and dramatic way. They aren't even undead. What is happening? The Holy Knights spoke in surprise. Instead of replying, with knife in hand, the soldiers of Yamaguri swiftly wounded the Holy Knights. It appears they used their own body as the decoy in order to deal a blow to the Holy Knights. TN note, so they're like Deadpool without the mental disorder, using only a knife, and can even come back from the dead. Nice. Using their immortality to fight, it's looking impressive so far. And just like this, the Holy Knights brace themselves as they witness what they believe to be a one-sided development game. However, the Holy Knights collapsed in less than 3 minutes. It is as I expected, the Yamaguri were able to corner them in just 3 minutes. Due to the major difference in potential, it's impossible to think that the Immortals will lose. The results were that the Yamaguri resurrected intact, and the Paladins had fallen. The Wolf Riders swiftly collected the fallen Holy Knights, binding their shadows and sealing off their movement. Hee, Holy Knight-san, from the moment you attacked us, it was already our win. In addition, this knife is coated with a powerful sleeping drug. Or did you previously prepare an antidote? You know it's not going to resist anything other than poison, right? Thus, the lower-ranked soldiers explained with a smug look. Seriously. The Holy Knights chuckled in response to their preaching, and my mind had fallen into a state of confusion. Of course, that wasn't the only situation in the war. In this clever scheme, only the Yamaguri had such an effect on the opponent. The subsequent groups attacked without being careless and without even receiving a single blow. Even so, the enemy was donning shiny armor to begin with, almost covering their entire body. Hurting them was difficult. It was precisely because they lowered their guard after delivering the fatal blow, that the Yamaguri were able to put a scratch on them. However, the dozen individuals who managed to leave the battlefield with a scratch evaluated this. To fight the Holy Knights, a trinity formation was used to support them. The Yamaguri as the main, the Hero and Wolf Riders in turn as support. By cooperating in perfect formation via communicating with thought transmission, they were on par with the Holy Knights. They were able to greatly reduce the enemy numbers at first because they had set the foundation and were able to cooperate well. Or rather, was there such a strategy? While I was having my duel with Hinata, isn't the fighting location rather isolated? While I was thinking this, Shin sent a signal. The Aglo who was hovering in the air on cue made a wicked smile and nodded. Kufufafu. Leave it to me. However, please take responsibility, Shin-san. Parting with such words, he flew away happily. Were you not supposed to be monitoring from above? About that gleeful smile earlier, the Holy Knight Squadron must have something in mind. Perhaps, they were planning to put up a barrier. Thanks to the monitoring network via Sai's shadows linked with Thought Link, a wide range of information regarding the situation of the war is flowing in. That's why, there was no need for Diablo to move anywhere. While I was thinking about this, Shin jerked her chin up in a kind of cute yet flirtatious motion. Earlier, Gobata and Gibble looked at each other. It feels like this is slightly different from what was discussed during the strategy meeting. What? That's why. I'm not sure why, but I have the feeling I was supposed to be fighting someone stronger? Gobata and Gibble questioned this. Right. I already thought something was amiss. I'm glad I am not wrong. Even so. Are you guys idiots? Work quickly and do as you're told, or do you want me to test my new masterpiece, dish, on you? I was convinced, yet that's what Shin thought. No, I might not be convinced. I understand. We wanted to go all out anyway. Of course, I'll pass on the dishes. Then get a move on, Gibble-san. If you don't go over, I'm going to get you. And he went away in a hurry. No, you guys aren't wrong. But, it's strange. For some reason, even with Gobata and Gibble, the flow of the battle had taken a turn for the worse. Then, while those two were joined together, Sai and his 5 subordinates started to make their move. They matched the number of the small Holy Knight squadron of 8 individuals perfectly. Apparently, the 8 of them had decided to suppress the opposing small squadron. Wait, Shin, since when did you separated? It wasn't this kind of strategy? Shin, I have reached the location. I'll become the opponent of this one squadron. Sai's thought had just been transmitted. Ah, is that so? Sai has also have been convinced. Well, Suka and Co. has already returned and will be going to support Gibble was what I thought at the time. Yuka, up to this point I just feel like a blind kid playing football. What is going on anymore? Smoggy, I think Sai's group is attacking the barrier erecting team. Thus, they split into 3 directions, but the enemy still had 2 forces left. I alone would be able to do this. I am willing to do it. I have to say it. Now then, where are the rest of the troops? My lord, please give me permission to commence attack. Ranga, you're up. Yes. My body feels light. I want to have a light exercise after waking up. I wonder what's with that. It's dangerous to let this guy loose. It seems this is what my risk prediction notified me. Well, it's probably not me who's going to be in danger, but my enemies. Oh, okay. But don't be too reckless. I'd prefer if you don't kill them. Leave it to me. Ranga let out a happy howl, and gleefully ran off. Now, I can only pray for the safety of the Holy Knights. Good luck. Though the fact I cheered for the enemy is a secret. Shin looked at them with satisfaction, and licked her lips. I glanced at the pink tip of her tongue, but there was something suspicious about that wetness. Yuka, this really is turning into an Uro novel. Smoggy, a lust for battle perhaps? She turned around and faced me. Now then, Rimuru-sama, I'm be going on ahead. Nodding as hard as possible, she jumps out with great force using both feet and flew at a momentum as if she was trying to pierce the heavens. Ah, good luck. Hey, what? It's already been a series of events now. The reason my head is going crazy, I wonder will I ever know? Yuka, I'm literally banging my head against the table at this point. Smoggy, make sure to fix it afterwards, okay? Oh, and there's a slightly used ice block to cool down your head afterwards in the fridge. One way or another, the battle plan seems to be largely revised. Indeed, a 1 versus 1 situation with Hinata was brought about as intended. The environment surrounding the area was made so that no one can interfere with the fight. Even so, I thought I didn't plan for it to become like this. Let's change my viewpoint for a moment. Even so, I probably had the feeling to schedule things to turn out like this from the start. I also changed my emotions. The situation is ideal. There is no problem. I said that to myself. I went to meet Hinata. Yuka? What, you haven't met her yet? What was I editing just now then? Smoggy, Rimaru's observation of the battle? Hinata looked like she had something to say, but she had a bitter look on her face. Suddenly, she burst into laughter, for she had made a breakthrough. Is that so? Yes, that's right. In the end. I'm probably thinking too much. Am I correct? Am I wrong? Let's settle this with the most ancient way. Will you accept this? Single combat. Slime Demon Lord. No, Rimaru. I admit this. At this point, petty tricks are pointless. The tactics that I planned vigilantly, all wasted. This is the first time I feel like laughing at my own powerlessness. Based on the situation, we're already gradually losing, meaning that this fight here is probably also planned by you. But, if you want me to accept your thoughts, show me and beat me. If you triumph over me, I'll listen to what you have to say. Not just you, I will believe that monsters and humans can come to a mutual understanding. Of course, if you feel like I still can't receive your thoughts, I'll just die fighting to the bitter end. Without a hint of confusion in her eyes, Hinata stared at me. Her facial expression, losing all acrimony, made her look younger than she actually is. No, based on look alone she looked like a high school student. Compared to the previous Hinata, who was like a grown-up, this Hinata gives off a more natural feeling. Throwing away everything that she shouldered, she simply wanted to challenge me. It is as she said, based on the situation I had already won. However, unlike what she thinks, there is still a reason for me to fight her. This is a situation I desired, there is no reason for me to refuse. I'm doing this in order to open her eyes. Okay, I accept your challenge. I'll make you open your eyes. At that moment, a promise was exchanged between the two. The presence or the absence of the promise made no difference. Words are no longer necessary, the fight between the two signaled the beginning of the end. Yuka ran out of steam and out of sanity nearing the end. Note to self, finals plus lots of words to read plus homework plus playing football while blind equals loss of sanity. Smoggy, so now that we're finally done fending back leeches and uploading this, do you feel like going to a gathering of bears, Yuka-san? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 90, versus Holy Knights Part 1. Versus Holy Knights Part 1. Kufufufufu. The demon let out an evil laugh. With its deep crimson hair fluttering, it gently descended in front of the Holy Knights. Spreading its bat-like wings wide, it was something that could truly be called the embodiment of evil. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Now, let us begin the test without delay. Whether or not you are worthy to be my opponents. The Holy Knights, after witnessing its appearance, immediately scattered and took up a defensive stance. They don't have the leisure to erect a barrier. They need to make a split-second decision. Their cautiousness was due to the arrival of the archdemon. Unfortunately, there are no other teams that have the capability to erect a barrier. However, this situation could be considered fortunate if you look at it from a different point of view. The opponent that came before them was only one in number. And in this squad was our nobleman, the strongest holy knight that leads an undefeated party. Arno sprouts a fearless smile and encourages his companions. Don't be afraid. Their enemy is only one. Even though it's an archdemon, it's not a threat to us. True. They already have battle experience against archdemons from the past. When fighting the heretics, there were some who could summon archdemons using the high demon summoning. Until now they had never lost once against these people. For Arno, he was confident he could come out victorious, even in a one-on-one battle. Everyone, spread out. 2 sub-leaders shall support me, the other members will set up a simple holy barrier. Begin. The holy knights reacted immediately to Arno's instructions. They were the movements of well-trained first-class warriors. Having lived through scenes of carnage many times, they were confident in their abilities as the fort that fights to protect the human race. Without hesitation they dispersed. They moved into a pentagram formation and erected a holy barrier that confined the commander and the 2 sub-leaders with their opponent, the red-haired demon, inside the barrier. But eerie as this was, during that time there was no movement from the demon. Sprouting an evil smile, the demon looked on happily at the holy knight's movement. Oi, what's wrong? You're not going to interrupt us? Arno asked, trying to provoke it. Why would I do such a thing? You are all working hard. I will not interrupt you. A response that was clearly underestimating them. Arno stood with composure facing his opponent, but inside he was truly boiling with anger. As an expert class knight, he's trained himself to have control over his emotions in these situations, as not to lose his sight in anger. But the opponent's response was humiliating. How can an archdemon be so impudent? Arno thought this, and being extremely thorough, he made sure to keep it as just a thought. There was no doubt that this was a threat to his troops. He was trained as a holy knight, so he had a clear grasp of its true strength. In their present condition, 5 people would be enough to take down an archdemon, provided that the opponent was a common archdemon. Arno calmly observed the demon in front of him to measure his opponent. The opponent in front of him now was not just a common archdemon. With an air of composure, it stood there elegantly. The cloth it wore was elaborate, as if it signified it was not just a lowly demon. The purpose of these clothes were to show that its level was high. Where it's concerned, the possibility that this demon has been named is very likely. A named demon in itself is a big threat. And yet, his opponent was a high-ranking named demon. He could not be careless. Even if he's angry at the opponent before him, he can't afford to lose his composure and cloud his own judgment. Arno unsheathed his sword. Oh? Are your preparations finished? Yes, sorry to keep you waiting. Shall we begin? But before that there's something I want to ask you. Your name. To the demon's question, Arno answered. And he took that opportunity to ask the demon his name. Although he might not get an answer, if he does, he could know whether the opponent was named or not. The opposing demon. Oh. How rude of me. My name is Diablo. Even though this name was granted to me by His Highness, Rimuru, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm still so inexperienced. Happily, it introduced itself. Arno felt the cold sweat drip down his back. Dangerous. His instinctive alarm ran at its maximum. Introducing itself without any hesitation. It means that the opponent was an existence that was already gifted with a name. If the master dies, its name status will disappear as well. Also, if it introduced itself with its real name, then that name can be used to manipulate it. Therefore, not introducing oneself was common sense among demonkin. So it was named by the demon Lord Rimuru. It seems that the demon was telling the truth. Was it even feasible for a demon lord to grant a name to the likes of an archdemon? But right now it was useless to harbor such doubt. Even so, Arno prided himself as the one called the strongest holy knight. He was the right-hand man of Hinata, the leader of the holy knights. And he had confidence in his place as number 2. Supported by such confidence, Arno smiles fearlessly. My name is Arno Bormann, the strongest holy knight. Engrave it into your soul, the name of the person who's going to destroy you. Enjoy your trip to hell." At the same time he declared that he performed a spiritual power release and activated his spirit armament. Instantly, 5 colors of light dazzlingly glistened and wrapped around Arno's body. He was a holy knight who possessed the 5 attributes of earth, water, fire, wind, and space. For a normal person, possessing 2 attributes was rare, but he was loved by 5. His title as the strongest holy knight wasn't just for show. During this time, the other holy knights also performed a spiritual power release. Each were clad in armor of their own attributes. In the middle of the shining multicolored lights was a shining pentagram. A simple type holy field was cast. It wasn't full-powered due to the short amount of time to perform the ceremony. But with 5 holy knights, it was effective enough. Inside the barrier, besides the 2 skilled holy knights, was the strongest one, Arno. Against an archdemon, there shouldn't be anything to fear. Fortunately, Arno held in his hand a new type of armament, the Demon Slayer, a supreme sword made by the 7 celestial sages solely to fight against demons. Against the flesh, the sword was endowed with the ability to tear apart the magic power in the monster's magic power configuration, so that it can't reconfigure again. In other words, it can suck out the opponent's magic power. This weapon was developed with the purpose to inflict damage against dragon types. It was the only sword that had been developed to have the same power as Hinata's sword. The decision to equip Arno with it was correct. With this sword, any type of demon would surely be destroyed. At that time, Arno had absolute confidence in his weapon, but... "Well then, let us begin the test." The demon casually said so. And the meaning of those words were quickly understood. You don't come, stop it, don't come. He help. Etc. The members stumble where they stand while unanimously shouting. As holy knights, these members should have been accustomed with this kind of thing. Just what happened? Arnold couldn't understand. This overwhelming fear was the coercion released by the demon before him. It simply unleashed its suppressed demonic aura. That's all. Oh my? Only 3 people were able to pass the test. Well, I offer you my praises. To be able to endure Miedman Lord's hockey, I shall permit you to be my personal opponents. The demon excitedly declared. The pentagram barrier disappeared in an instant. The other holy knights, whose minds had snapped, didn't have enough energy left to maintain the holy field. Arno was sweating bullets. Trying to wipe it off, he couldn't even keep up. He was desperately trying to comprehend the current situation. Unbelievable. He didn't want to accept it. The demon before him, just now. What did it say? Certainly it had Sataman Lord's hockey. He'd never heard of such an ability. With its aura release alone, it reduced the holy knights to this powerless state. Even for a demon lord, that shouldn't be possible. No. It might be possible for one legendary class of demon lord. He didn't previously think it was possible for a named to be of that class. You, the heck? Are you? Trying to squeeze out the words, Arno asked in a hoarse voice. Mustering all his willpower, he kept his fear from showing. Calmly he drove away his negative thoughts. Somehow, he succeeded in maintaining his composure. With Arno like that. Kufufufufufu, I am Diablo, the faithful servant of Rimuru-sama. If I perform brilliantly this time, the one getting the seat of first rank will be me. Such an answer came. In addition, making him dumbfounded. While I'm at it, allow me give the answer to your next question. I am not an archdemon like you had previously said, but a demon duke. Even though the difference is slight, please don't make that mistake again. It added that in more words of despair. It's over, everything is over. The female aide Sophia bent down, and began to weep like a child. Her mind has also snapped. Demon Duke. That was the legendary existence. It was ranked higher than a self-proclaimed demon lord. Their previous appearances in this world were not documented, so it couldn't be confirmed. But this legendary demon now certainly exists. Just like a common spirit can't be compared to a great spirit class. And a great spirit class can't win a fight against a king spirit class, even if several of them banded together. Oh? What are you doing? You have passed my test, but you don't seem happy in the slightest. The demon called out to the female adjutant whose mind had snapped. This situation never crossed Arnaud's mind. While shedding tears, she tried to run away, desperately. To the demon who had called out to her, she was unwilling to make eye contact and shook her head in denial. As a holy knight, she was a brave and dependable adjutant that survived situations of great peril before. But for the first time, she was showing signs of fear. She had great knowledge in demonology, as a countermeasure against the heretics. Because it's best to know your enemy. Not only that, but she also studied summoned demons and demon summoning. Because of that, she was very familiar with demonology. The fact that this woman was frightened stiff was proof enough that the existence before them was in fact, a demon duke. Therefore, measures must be taken against that. Can you still fight, Bacchus? He asked his other adjutant. His reliable partner and trusted right-hand man. Bacchus nodded with a pale face. To overcome this crisis with just them two, they must make a breakthrough. After linking with Hinata, this demon would meet its end. Arnaud gathered up the resolve and concentrated on stirring up his willpower. Oi! Do you have to torment my adjutant and subordinates? Leave them alone. Your opponent is me. Arnaud shouted and conducted his attack with all of his might. From Arnaud's left palm, a mass of light was discharged. That was the holy cannon. Among the magic types that holy knights are fluent in, was divine magic. It was a simple type of magic and the effects depend on the ability of the user. The attack has holy attributes and was able to inflict damage to any type of monster. However, the demon caught the ball of light and crushed it in its palm like it was nothing. Kufufufufafu. This is quite painful. My palm has gotten burnt. Then, next is that person's turn? The demon said in a calm manner, like nothing happened. However, Arnaud's true aim wasn't to damage it with the holy cannon. While the opponent was taking the attack from the holy cannon, Bacchus took a roundabout path to get at it from behind and struck it in the back with his great axe. The great axe was called a demon killer, a magic weapon used to cut down devils. Even a demon duke couldn't avoid taking damage from that attack. Moreover, the attack didn't stop there. At the same time Arnaud fired the holy cannon, he also prepared his own demon slayer. Spirit beheading was an ultimate technique using the basic technique of fighting spirit. By cladding the weapon in fighting spirit, it can cut down anything. Fighting spirit and magical power can be applied on various techniques, but Arnaud was the strongest holy knight. He clad his sword in his fighting spirit, and it glistened in 5 colors. So, converting his 5 attributes of spirit power into fighting spirit, he fused them together and with it, clad his sword. The genius Arnaud. It was because of this special technique that Arnaud was called the strongest holy knight. Shut up, monster. Eat this and die. Ether break, Kanji, 5 colors spirit virtuous sword. A flash from Arnaud's sword runs along the ground in a line. By using the earth spirit's weight manipulation, the user can decide on the sword's desirable impact. At a speed that transcended the speed of sound, the sword's edge reached Diablo. The strike was clad in holy attributes, and absolute killing power against monsters, along with the attribute to crush evil. A deadly sword that should cut down an archdemon with a single strike. It was impossible for even a demon duke to be uninjured. Not to mention he dealt the blow at the same moment it was being attacked from behind. A perfect surprise attack. Arnaud had no doubt it was the opponent's certain death. However, at the very moment Bacchus' great axe would clash with Diablo's head, Diablo lightly tapped his toe to the ground. With just that, the ground was upheaved and Bacchus, who was approaching from behind, was blown away into the air. Even so, Arno's sword, exceeding the speed of sound with its imagined trajectory, would still cut the nape of Diablo's neck. It couldn't be stopped. He can do it. Arno was convinced of the victory he played out in his mind and put all of his strength into his hand that was grasping the sword. At the same time, he lightens the weight of the sword and then reverses it, driving it towards his target with double the power. Grasping the sword, he doubled its weight by several times by abrupting the generation inertia from gravity's force. This technique straight also doubled the sword's momentum just before it collided with the enemy. For someone seeing this technique for the first time, it was impossible to evade it. Arno had certain belief in his victory. You could say it was a matter of fact. But, unfortunately, from the very beginning Diablo had no intention of evading it. Arno's sword cut through the barrier Diablo had erected, and cut Diablo's body. He felt the resistance. But Arno immediately ran to Bacchus' side. He confirmed Bacchus' condition. It turned out that Bacchus was alright and was able to stand. Feeling relief, he switched his focus back to Diablo. Kufufufufafu. I see. What a wonderful technique. Especially the sudden acceleration the moment it makes impact. Even I had difficulty seeing it. And above all else, that attack that incorporates various attributes. Few would be able to withstand that attack. Splendid, truly splendid. He began praising Arno's sword art. But Arno doesn't feel the least bit happy hearing it. Obviously. Because clearly the demon wasn't suffering any damage after taking his sword strike. Oi! You didn't suffer any damage at all? Though he didn't want to ask, the words unconsciously slipped from his mouth. Oh? Does it seem that way to you? That is just an overestimation. I plan to offset only the holy attributes with my magic barrier, but unfortunately I felt your strike. It seems my magic power had been deprived, just a little though. Thanks to your sword, it seems to possess the ability to steal the opponent's magic power. I overlooked it. But even so, it is also wonderful. What it was not enough. It's like it didn't receive any damage at all from the technique. This wasn't a joke. That ultimate move definitely hit it. An attack that possesses various attributes and can easily pierce through several layers of defense barriers. And despite that attack was supposed to be the decisive blow. Arno's chance of victory was non-existent. And acting as the final blow to Arno were these merciless words from the demon. That's right. With this level of damage, I need to receive about 4.000 hits before I will be annihilated. But, a point of advice, I can recover about 40% of that damage in 1 hour. How is that? There is still some hope for you. Now then, shall we resume again? So it said, while spreading its hands. Next to him, Bacchus gave up with a sigh. Hey, Arno, it's impossible. We can't hold out like this. Though this might be better than doing nothing at all. I'll buy you some time, so please call Captain Hinata. That's a captain's class with inhumane power, it's not an opponent we can fight. He whispers to Arno. No, I will buy you time. You fool. Your feet are quicker than mine. Above all, there's hope if you and Captain are together. It is no good if it's me. Bacchus shouted and pushed Arno away. Arno, hearing those words, bit his lip and started to run. But, the reality was cruel. Kufufufufafu. Oh my. Where do you think you're going? My mission is to hold you all off here. I will not allow any of you to get past me. Forced to say? For a moment he didn't understand what it meant by that, but there in front of Arno, his companions who were previously on the ground, were now blocking his way. You guys, step aside. Arno shouted, but the demon pointed him to the harsh reality before him. Oh my. Your companions still seem intent to play. I only asked them if they would be so grateful to betray their ally. So it said. Arno looked at his companions properly. They each wore a blank expression, as if they were in some sort of trance. So Sophia. Stop it. Come to your senses. Arno turned to face Bacchus, who was vomiting blood while shouting to the other adjutant Sophia, who was sobbing in front of him. She had the same trance-like look on her face as the others, standing across from Bacchus, who was holding out his sword. You bastard! What have you done to my companions? Arno glares at Diablo and shouts. The demon replies with a sneer. Kufufufufu. What are you implying? Nevertheless, I only tempted them. Because they feared me, they seem to have accepted it easily. Temptation, that is. Arno suddenly realized. There was a characteristic of monsters that were demon-kin called the temptation skill. To mesmerize the target. An ability that can manipulate someone's mind as it likes. But, he'd never heard of a demon that had the ability to mesmerize a holy knight. To save someone under this mesmerization, you either have to defeat the demon who is manipulating them, or kill the person. To sum it up, the only thing that can be done now is to evade his companions' attacks and defeat Diablo. If not, the only option left was to kill his comrades. He can't go easy on the holy knights. Even subconscious, these guys were pragmatic. Someone who is mesmerized moves their body subconsciously. This was too much. Their awareness was cursed through temptation. This opponent was. This demon was. Clearly a disaster class. A threat that stood on equal grounds with the demon lord. Bacchus, who was holding off Sophia, was strangled from behind by two holy knights. And just like that, he lost consciousness. He had remained fainted, but now that meant Arno remained alone. To get through this situation alone was not an impossible feat. Furthermore, the red-haired demon's gold oblong pupil glistened a bewitching hint of red as he held up Sophia with one hand. Suddenly, Sophia's beautiful blonde hair turned a deep crimson red, as if it were soaked in blood. She showed an ecstatic look on her face. Her hair turned back into blonde. He looked at her suspiciously. Sophia lost consciousness and fainted. No way. His worry suddenly turned frantic. Kufufufufu. Whoops, that was dangerous. I unintentionally turned her into a fallen. If I do such things, there's no way Rimuru-sama will give me the seat of first rank. Leaving Arno with these uncertain words, Diablo turns his head in his direction. What he'd just seen was the demon making the holy knight Sophia into its companion. He didn't want to imagine what would have happened if it succeeded. The demon was for some reason concerned about his actions and stopped halfway through. Thus, Sophia was saved. But it was still too early to be relieved. After all. Well then, let's resume. Launch whatever attack pleases you. Until I get tired, I will be your opponent. Left alone without a single reinforcement and surrounded by 5 holy knights. It was impossible to escape this. Even so, Arno refused to give up. His last hope was held in Hinata defeating the enemy's boss and coming to his adjutant. Arno prepared himself. The curtain on Arno's hopeless fight has risen. 1. Gender neutral actually. TL note. Hockey equals if you watch or read One Piece you will know the meaning, can be translated as ambition, force of will. Holy Knight can also read as Saint Knight, Sacred Knight. Calma Clown San translates this as Demon Official, I translate it as Demon Duke. Editor's note, Kidu. It was my first time editing for Guro. Hope you enjoy. I know everyone really wanted to read it so I haven't triple-checked it. I'll do that later. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapters so we can fix it as soon as possible.